Welcome to Random Movie Reviews. I'm Nathan, and today I'll be talking about Moonwalker. So I am talking about this movie today because obviously not too long ago, the teaser trailer to the much anticipated Michael Jackson biopic dropped, and unsurprisingly, it got a lot of attention, caused a lot of buzz, and I believe now is the most viewed biopic trailer on YouTube ever, which is not surprising because this is Michael Jackson we're talking about. It definitely shows the aesthetic and atmosphere and energy that you would want to see in a Michael Jackson movie. Of course, I'm tapering my expectations because in the past couple of years, there's just been a ton of biopics that have come out that are very lazy and uninspired and just kind of dull, predictable, sometimes downright annoying. Elvis, I'm Looking at You. That's one of my most hated movies of the past few years, if I can be honest. The Bohemian Rhapsody movie also completely sucked. So, I want to be excited because I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. In fact, make sure to check out the description to this video where I'm going to link some of my favorite underrated Michael Jackson songs that I highly recommend people check out if they're not familiar with them. So I'm going to wait and see. Obviously, I'm going to watch that movie and we'll see if it'll be any good. But based on the teaser alone, it looked quite promising. And of course, after I watched it, it got me in a Michael Jackson mood. I was listening to music all day after that. And then it kind of clicked in my head, hey, Michael Jackson has a movie that I've never seen before called Moonwalker. In fact, I didn't even know about this movie's existence until I was in high school. I saw the Angry Video Game Nerd video on the Moonwalker video game, and I was like, there's a Michael Jackson video game? And in that video, he talks about how that's part of the Moonwalker movie that came out in the 80s. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know this existed. And even when I saw that video back then, I just never got around to watching the movie. So I watched this movie for the first time yesterday. Of course, I did know some stuff about it before I went into the movie. Like, for one, this isn't really a movie, or at least not in the traditional sense by any means. What this is an unapologetic vanity project from Michael Jackson that is half of a montage and retrospective of Michael Jackson's music and music videos and live performances that take up the first 40 minutes of this movie. And then by the time you get to the second half of the movie, that's where I guess you get introduced to the Moonwalker movie proper, sort of. So I knew about that before going into it, and I was like, all right, well, I'll adjust my expectations and not view it as a straight up legitimate type of movie and just kind of watch it with an open mind and just kind of see what happens. So the movie starts off with the performance of Michael doing Man in the Mirror, showing a montage of his live performances during the Bad World Tour. And then after that, we get shown this really interesting, visually very cool retrospective of Michael Jackson that showcases him singing as a kid in the Jackson 5, doing live performances on television and stuff like that, then him going on tour with his brothers, and then him eventually becoming a solo artist. And the way that's presented visually through claymation and just really interesting visuals was really quite cool, and it got me excited to see what the rest of this movie is going to be like. I didn't expect it to be so visually interesting. After that, then we get into the full music video of Leave Me Alone. Quick edit here. So it is the Speed Demon video that follows the retrospective. And then after that comes the Leave Me Alone video. But I misremembered it while I edited this video. So my bad. Which is one of my favorite Michael Jackson music videos. I love the animation and the visuals of that video. Kind of reminds me of Terry Gilliam's animations that he did for Monty Python. It kind of has a similar vibe, and it's also just a great song. And that leads into the Kid Bad parody music video. I think it's called Badder or Baddest or something like that, which I had never seen before, which, it was fun. It was cute, but full disclosure, I'm not even a big fan of the Bad song. I think there's other better MJ songs I'd rather listen to, especially on that record, such as the next song, Speed Demon, which is awesome. And that's where we get introduced to Michael for the first time in the movie, where he's getting chased by all this crazy ass looking claymation that feels very reminiscent of the Pee-wee Big Adventure backlot chase sequence, which, by the way, Pee-wee has a cameo in the Speed Demon video, which once again visually looks really cool and fun, and I love kind of quirky looking claymation. I just think aesthetically it's just kind of unique and awesome. So yeah, that all that stuff's fun. And then after 40 some odd minutes, we get introduced to the proper Moonwalker movie, which is technically just a really long form version of the Smooth Criminal music video, or at least that's kind of the centerpiece of that segment of the movie. We get introduced to these three kid characters that are living in a futuristic dystopian nightmare world. And then we see Michael Jackson, who is clearly on his way to the Smooth Criminal music video set, getting shot and chased down by Joe Pesci. And then shortly after that, we get this out of nowhere flashback sequence to try to establish that Michael knows these kids. He's friends with them. They're playing in the field. There's a dog. It's very, endearing and cutesy. And the dog runs into a cave. And then Michael and Katie, one of the kids, end up going into the cave, which ends up leading into this evil lair that Joe Pesci is in, which I already forgot the name of his character.
Lideo. Frankie Ladeo.
And he has this crazy ass plan to deliver drugs to all of the kids in the world via spiders. Yeah. This is a weird movie. So that was the way of the movie establishing who Joe Pesci is as the villain, how Michael knows these kids, and how they ended up in this situation. Sorta, not really. It's very disconnected, very sloppy, but visually is really quite interesting. And the whole chase sequence that we get with Michael, I heard visually was very inspired by the iconic noir classic The Third Man, which is a wonderful movie that I highly recommend people check out. So visually it looks really damn cool, and then the movie kind of once again gets totally crazy and random, where Michael Jackson sees a shooting star and can just transform into a flying car. Yeah. That's not even the craziest thing that happens in this movie. All of this leads up to, of course, the iconic and one of the coolest music videos ever, Smooth Criminal, which I've seen a million times before, but even watching this movie yesterday, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch it again because it's awesome. I mean, the choreography is so insane. It's unbelievable. So that segment's great. And then, of course, Joe Pesci's bad guys show up. They're shooting at him. And then the kids, which I didn't even mention, one of the kids is John Lennon's son, Sean Lennon. The two kids come up to him and they're like, oh my God, Katie's missing. And Michael's like, well, we got to go rescue her. And then he finds Katie captured by Joe Pesci, and then all the bad guys are like, forcing Michael Jackson hostage at gunpoint and all this stuff. And then that's where this movie really goes off the rails in a very awesome way, where Michael Jackson straight up turns into a fucking transformer. Turns into this giant mecha robot with guns and missiles and is shooting and killing all the bad guys, and then turns into a spaceship. And Joe Pesci has this giant laser weapon where he's trying to, fight off the Michael Jackson spaceship. I feel like I'm describing a dream I had while taking melatonin or something. But of course, Michael destroys Laser Machine, killing Joe Pesci. The kids are sad because the spaceship flies away and they think Michael's gone, but of course he's not gone. And then he ends up taking him to his concert where he does a cover of the Beatles' Come Together, which is not a great cover and kind of like an anticlimactic way to end the movie. Like, if you're going to end a Michael Jackson movie, you got to pick like one of his best songs, or like a song that hasn't been played in the movie. I would have loved to have seen a performance of Wanna Be Startin' Something, my favorite Michael Jackson song. Or another song off of Bad, like an underrated song, like Another Part of Me would have been really cool to see. So that was kind of disappointing. And then the movie ends showing, once again, a montage of the making of the movie. And that's Moonwalker, basically. So is this a good movie? I mean, it's not even really a movie. I look at it as a very interesting, kind of fun, niche time capsule in a very specific time where Michael Jackson was at the top of his fame and creativity and all this stuff. And so what you're left with is just a vanity project, without a doubt, but one that's certainly not boring, that's very interesting, that has, unsurprisingly, a ton of great music in it, a lot of really interesting visuals, that is surprisingly well directed, and the special effects are really quite impressive. Is it a mess? Yeah, it's a mess. And I think the biggest fault of the movie is the fact that it's not a movie. As I was watching the movie, I was thinking, man, it would be so cool if this was actually like a proper movie, like a science fiction, adventure, action, musical movie, but not a lame musical with stupid music in it. It is an awesome musical with Michael Jackson music in it. Like, imagine how awesome that would be. like a legitimate Michael Jackson science fiction fantasy movie that kind of has like the whimsical cues of the Spielberg movie, where we get proper characters, we get a proper 3-act structure with setups and payoffs, we get numerous awesome music sequences and dancing sequences that also give us some fun action moments as well. Like, man, that would have been so cool. So that's the biggest problem with this movie, is the fact that it's not a movie, and it would be a lot cooler if it was. But given that, you know, I don't have a time machine and I can't go back in time to convince the people like, hey, you should actually make a proper movie here, this is what we're left with. And it's hard for me to hate it or be all that critical of it, because number one, it's just very endearing. You know, a lot of it is very fun and good natured and just kind of wacky in a way that I find enjoyable. And number two, it's just a really interesting time capsule is the way that I look at it. And I think if you're a fan of Michael's music, this is kind of a mandatory must see. So yeah, I enjoyed it for simply what it is. So anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on Moonwalker. Like I said before, make sure to check out the description of this video where I'm going to link some of my favorite underrated MJ songs. And I would love to hear from you guys if you've seen Moonwalker. What are your thoughts on this movie? Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What are some of your favorite underrated MJ songs? List it in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching.